Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man. Made it. Another revolution about the sun. We made it, man. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Um, man, I hate to change that music, but I gotta change it, man. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad, man. But thank you guys, man. Appreciate you guys for joining us, man. As always, man, like, share, find us on all streaming platforms. Um, you know, uh, um, what's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much, man. Just keeping up on what's happening this year.
Yeah,
What could happen this year. All that good stuff. Just trying to keep my ears down to the street, man.
yeah, man. And we just gonna talk about 2023, man. I think that not obsessed about 2022 so much, man. I think people focus on the last revolution, around the sun. So
Yeah,
we just gonna talk about some things that we think that you know that folks should pay attention to, here in 2023, man. But first foremost, you know what I'm saying? One of those things that you should pay attention to is yourself. Prioritize yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? We took a much needed break. I know for myself, there was a much needed break, man. Needed to decompress a little bit. Had a long year, man, long busy year, man, and sometimes you just need to just disconnect, man. You know what I'm saying? Just disconnect, man. Just from trying to do a lot of reading, connecting, and we try to stay connected to politics, but sometimes it's overwhelming. You know what I mean? And it just got overwhelming, at least for me. So 2023, man, prioritize yourself, prioritize your health, prioritize your mind, prioritize your body. Don't be selfish about it. You know.
yeah, man. We gotta disconnect from the non-social social media.
Oh man, that is facts.
It is that thing because people, you know, um, clinical psychologists are now starting to catch up to like trying to diagnose
Hmm.
what's happening on social media. Granted, we had the Twitter files and Facebook files and so forth, and showed like the damage of Instagram and Facebook and all of these other places. Now Twitter is becoming also as toxic as those other places, and a lot of it is, man, like people only want to hear what is comfortable to them.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it's to the extreme where the saying, "Meet people where they are." People are really taking that to the extreme. They only want you to meet them, but they're not willing to meet you at any point or any place.
Hmm.
Um, and it's becoming a little toxic.
Well, and social media also becoming consumer media. That's what it's about you consuming, you know what I'm saying? Buying products, and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? The social aspect of it, the only real social media is through text message or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is, man. Um, but it's all interesting, man. Just disconnect, man. Just find ways to disconnect, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're gonna chop it up about the housing market. Some things to pay attention to. You know, housing market, AI is a big thing. With GP chat and what is the other thing? Artificial intelligence, when people art, putting their art out there. That's big. That people caught on a little quick, but a little, maybe not quick enough that you know that stuff, your picture, your likeness was being used,
Mhm.
for other reasons. You know what I'm saying? And the shit show, that's the GOP federally, but how we can be radicalized on the local level. You know what I'm saying? And we seen it here in South Carolina, man. So that's what we're gonna chat about, man. And we're gonna, you know, uh, shoot, where's my thing? All right, there we go. Technology, man. Technology, boy. I tell you,
Technology.
technology. But yeah, man, we're gonna chop it up about the housing market, man. We was talking about you guys, y'all are about flipping y'all's house, and y'all have to pay attention to the housing market when y'all are flipping the house, man. But go ahead and talk about that, bro.
Yeah, so we are in the closing phase of another property. Granted, we're a little more slow investors. Um, where we're not we're not turning 5, 10, 15, 20 homes a year and so forth, because the big fish consume most of the fish, so we're more small scale, right? So it's pertinent for us to pay attention 6 months, to a year down the road. That data is really really important to us, because if we lose on the one deal, it can really hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things that we are seeing in the market is, one, um, we just don't have enough homes on the market for people to purchase.
Right,
Um,
still an issue.
Still an issue. And the builders, the problem is the builders only go for high end in buyers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, in Austin, Texas, and it was another place, in, I think, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. So
Mm-hmm.
they ended up building homes that was listed around 400, $500,000, and it was about 50 homes in each development. Um, and the problem was there was no jobs that was within 10 miles of these homes that could support a $500,000 purchase.
Oh my goodness.
So this is what's going on in America. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and what the failure is really, again, it's always Congress. It's always the House, it's always the Senate, it's not the president.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's simply because they don't regulate the builders properly to match the working class or the constituents wage, basically. So if majority of your jobs in a, let's see, most average people probably drive one way to work, maybe 15 miles, maybe 20 miles, at max.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
yeah,
think I think the average is like an hour.
y- yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
so, but within an hour, what we have to understand is what we find out. Majority of us
Mm-hmm.
don't travel an hour.
Yeah, 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 yeah. When it comes to when you say us, you talking black people, or
Yeah,
you just talking people in general? Yeah.
I'm talking about people in general.
Oh,
It's even more staggering when you start getting into like groups,
into
right?
race and things
Yeah,
like
when
that.
you start getting
Race,
into race,
black,
it's even more
yeah,
staggering, because now you're talking about most black people don't even have transportation.
yeah,
Um,
or live near public transportation
or-
or
correct, correct.
yeah, that can take them to a job that will pay them the wage in order
Yeah,
for them to buy a $500,000 home.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
so what's happening is these dynamics that's then affecting um the builders, because they have to make a choice. And of course, always they're going to choose making money
Yeah, yeah,
over, over anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you have another dynamic that also happened, that banks approve more expensive homes over cheaper homes.
Hmm.
The threshold, I think, is like $75,000, that you can get a loan, but that's iffy,
Hmm.
because they really like it to be over 100.
Hmm.
So again, if you can't even get a home, if say you make $15 an hour, and say because I know we've been in South Carolina and it's some decent livable homes
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
we come across. We're
Mhm,
like, It just needs some updates and so forth." Um, but even so, it's livable now.
mhm,
And the problem is a bank won't even fund it
mhm,
because it doesn't have the updates, the updated, HVAC and those kind of things.
mhm,
Because the likelihood of a person either living there long term is slim or them going into bankruptcy is also a high prior thing. So what we have to do is we have to literally go through all of those kind of data points
mhm,
because when we are investing our money, we need to make sure that the market and what price we're putting our home out there is going to fit within the area.
mhm.
A lot of these investors, what we have found out was that they bought these home overpriced,
Right.
a- and now they can't even finish their project because they don't have enough money.
Mhm,
And also, legacy builders are going through the same thing.
mhm.
So they are building up developments, and they can't complete the development. So what
Oh,
they're
wow.
doing is also renting the homes out.
Mhm.
So, but what
And
that
in some
caused,
places
yeah,
in some
and some
places, they're creating, like, whole, communities where it's nothing but renters. Like, and
correct,
by communities, I mean, like a suburban, like, cul-de-sac neighborhood, and it's
yes,
nothing all the houses in there, all 100 houses are nothing but renters,
yes,
um, which is not a good thing.
and
Not
because
a good
what it does is it drives up rent.
Right. Yep, that's what it does. It drives up rent. And
Yes,
it also, what people need to know understand is that, um, this would probably people, this is what I believe, right? That in these instances, right, come in to a lot of these communities and build homes, right? Because they'll be able to do it, build that home a lot cheaper, and they'll be able to sell that home cheaper as well. You know what I'm saying? Which will in turn drive down the prices of the other houses. Um, but our government don't want to do that. You know what I
correct.
mean? And it should do that. It should
Yeah,
do that. I
yeah,
know I was trying to find an article where Marsha Fudge was talking about it in 2020, that was a plan that they was exploring because of all of these broker um, firms, these realtors, these big $1 million realtors that bought up a lot of the inventory, the housing inventory. So what you have is that you still are going to perpetually have people buying homes that are overpriced. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember somebody asked us if we were going to sell our house. You know what I'm saying? I was like, for what? To buy another overpriced house? Don't make
mhm,
any sense. That
mhm,
makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where people are at. You know what I'm saying? And inflation ain't going. I won't say it's inflation right now. I say it's greed right now. Um,
yeah.
you know, that's happening. With building supplies and things of that nature. But yeah, man, something interesting to pay attention to.
So, here's something else that we kind of found out is that everyone who bought a house last year and
Hmm.
even into 2021, if you bought a house in 2021 to 2022, most likely you're underwater at this point.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, most of these people refinance
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
before the rates went up. So
Hmm.
so they took out money on their property again, so which means they got a second loan
Hmm.
on their property, and
Instead of just instead of just refinancing. So you're saying people refinance and then took money out because they
Well,
refinanced.
that automatically creates a second loan.
Mhm,
When
mhm, mhm,
you
mhm.
refinance, it automatically creates a second loan.
Right.
So that process there, when people wasn't paying attention what was going on, what was going to happen, like, within 6 months,
Mhm, mhm,
because I had a friend of mine who's a realtor, he was trying to get me to one, sell my property, and
mhm.
then saying, "Oh, well, why don't you refinance and take the take the, money out
Take the money.
you're 100 plus thousand, plus in equity." And
Mhm.
I said, "Well, that'd be stupid."
That's dumb.
Yeah. I said, "So why would I take out $100,000 out of my home for now,
Mhm,
then what's going on, what I'm seeing with our president, with our Senate, with our House, that the market was too shaky.
mhm, mhm,
Even though we've seen growth, right?
mhm, mhm.
But if you paid attention to the market within itself, which mean, the stocks, the volatility of all of that stuff, that right there told you that what was going to happen was a downturn.
Mhm, mhm.
And, like now I'm
So,
sitting here
but
look.
when you say downturn, like what are we talking about when you're saying like downturn?
So you're talking about a market downturn, which means that we're going to have a market decline.
Mhm,
And it's and I'm not a
mhm, mhm,
so-called quote unquote expert in
mhm,
this field,
mhm,
but on the basic level, it's it's when you either have buyers that check out
mhm,
because affordability. You also have the tightening of savings,
mhm,
um, from rich people. So you don't have their money, injected into the economy.
mhm.
So it's all of these different dynamics that happen that s quasi creates our so-called capitalism market.
Yeah, when you say downturn, are we talking about going towards a recession?
Going towards a recession.
Mm, mhm.
And again, we've been in this phase technically since 2018.
Yeah, since 2018. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that the Trump administration avoided was pumping money into the economy,
Mhm.
printing money to put into the economy to avoid a recession that they
Yes.
knew. And why was a recession happening? Well, because you like you're saying, you pull money out of the economy when you cut the taxes, when they
Mhm.
did the tax cuts. You know what I'm saying? Because, like you're saying, wealthy people don't spend money, they don't inject money into the economy, they pull money out of the economy. And right now, what we have with inflation is with inflation, there's too much money into the economy right now, and people are purchasing goods. Um, are purchasing goods faster than the goods can be supplied, right? So right. So if you go to Walmart and to buy T-shirts, well, you can't get T-shirts stocked fast enough. Then
Mhm.
people buy it, and what people should be doing right now is only buying the things that you need. So only buying, food or things that you need. But of course, the produce is a response to immigration policies,
Yes.
which is also driving. You don't have enough people who are enough. Harvesting the produce fast enough, harvesting eggs fast enough, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, and things of that nature. You don't have the cheap labor that capitalism requires, you know what I'm saying, it to have in order for it to survive, or for things to be relatively cheap, you know what I mean, or what we consider cheap, you know what I mean? And add on to that that we import more than I mean we yes, we import more than we export. So we rely on China for a lot of our goods. And oh, by the way, China is still having problems with COVID. They're still having problems. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, a lot of that, it's affecting a lot of things when it comes to, um, you know, the economy and the housing market. And right now, the jobs,
Mhm.
the jobs report is looking good because, at least there's jobs out there and people are getting hired. And of course, people are going for more higher wage jobs, which in turn has forced some of the service jobs to hire people at higher wages above federal minimum wage. So, like I was telling this person, was
Mhm.
on this one guy I was having a conversation with, like, look, I'm okay with immigration. You can kick out all the immigrants you want, you know what I mean? Because it forces higher wages. That's what it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it forces higher wages. Now the problem is that we're in this era of inflation right now, and it kind of, your higher wages kind of go down the tubes right now. You
Well,
know,
yeah, because
yeah,
it's eating up the higher wages, right?
because it's eating up the higher wages, right? No matter what, they just Biden just passed an increase basically for Social Security to keep elderly people from being homeless, right? Because that was the other response that was happening last year too.
Yeah,
You having
60% of
elderly
elderly
people,
people
yeah,
were yeah.
yeah, were homeless or they were starving and things of that nature. So you had to increase, a lot of that, and a lot of it was military veterans and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Uh, yeah, so all of that is connected to, you know, housing market, you know what I'm saying? Or
mhm.
creating affordable housing and what that means. You know what I'm saying? Affordable housing is so people can afford, well, so people can have the wealth that a house collects. You know what I'm saying? As you make payments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So gotta fix a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, man, and
Pay attention. Pay attention to a lot of stuff.
yeah, yeah, man. And again, like, this is all the stuff that, like, man, we get to talking about it and so forth, and,
Mhm,
like, my wife, she always be like, you know, because she's not a political person,
mhm,
so
mhm,
she just like, "Why do we gotta talk about this?" And so then I gotta explain to her, like, how basically, like, all of this stuff is connected, right?
mhm,
Because if you see okay, China, prime example, they were at peak labor in 2021. They were
mhm,
at peak labor, because of their population, because they
mhm,
had a population decline.
mhm,
Well, you add in the deaths of COVID,
mhm.
um, then you're talking about shutting down the manufacturing.
Shut it down, yep, mhm,
All of these things played a part in what we seen over here because we also was facing peak employment
mhm,
because we had a generation that was at retiring age that held most of the jobs.
mhm,
So they had to come back off of retirement
mhm,
in
mhm,
a lot of cases
mhm.
because
Because of inflation,
of inflation.
because of inflation, they had to, they couldn't afford the lifestyle that they were living, so
Correct. Correct.
lifestyle they were living. So, but all this leads to, you know, again, supporting policies supporting policies for the people. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times, I understand. Look. I can have conversations with folks on the right who want to talk about military. Or now they want to talk about military spending after they spend so much money. Um, or spending money, sending money to other countries and stuff like that. Like we can have conversations about that, right? But none of their policies want to address helping people. None of their policies. It doesn't. They don't want to pass anything to do with affordable housing, raising the minimum wage, healthcare, pre-K, paying for daycare. You know what I mean? Low college tuition to no college, having free healthcare.
Mhm.
I know people say affordable healthcare, but all of these things would relieve a lot of, issues. So you don't have to have people who are 80, 70 something years old having to return to work, You know what I'm saying? Or go work in restaurants and or trying to find some relief. You know what I'm saying? Instead, they want to focus on being woke or something like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? They focus on the wrong things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
and
you know.
I'll add this, and sorry to cut you off, but real quick, be because you need the elderly to be able to exit, gracefully, right? So you can
Hmm.
have the younger generation to
Hmm.
come back in and gain the same skills, right?
Hmm.
You can't wait till they're 30, 40 years old because what happens is, well, who's buying the houses? The older
Hmm.
person already has the house.
They already
He
have a
already has
house,
the house for 20 something years.
right?
So all of these things are literally what we experience, what we see, what we face.
Hmm.
Um, you know, people passing away, and that's sort of how we kind of come across a lot of homes.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and like this is what's happening, and people don't connect the dots, man. And we got to start connecting the dots. And this is what we do with our industry as far as investing in the property.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just paying attention, man. Paying attention. Don't be so distracted, man. Don't be so
Yeah,
distracted by things that don't, that really don't matter. You know what I mean? I don't mean to bring up was it last was Will Smith slap last year?
yeah,
Dang,
that
I
was
don't
it last year, man.
that last year? Dang, okay.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
still hear it.
Huh?
I can still hear it.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like people just paid attention to that way more. Just gave that way too much energy. You know what I'm saying? And it just didn't need energy. And we really need to focus on economics this year, man. Like what are the levers, the mechanisms that are either preventing relief for American peoples? Because what's going to happen is the middle class is going to shrink. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And again, like you're saying, it's not us 40 and 50-year olds who should be making up the middle class. It's the 27 to 30-year olds who should be making up the middle class. But guess what? They're choosing not to have kids. They are
Mhm,
choosing they can't afford, they can't buy any homes because like you said, there's still older people who have these jobs, you know what I
mhm.
mean, that they're holding on to, you know what I'm saying? So and there should be 2024 should begin that transfer of economic power, right?
Yes.
It really should, but it's just not going to happen, or it's not going to happen at the speed that it should happen. You know what I mean? Where a
Yes.
lot of us in our 40s, we should be the ones, taking over a lot of these jobs that, and by jobs, I mean, there's people that sitting in uh, uh, like head management positions or CEO positions, and they're like 70, 80. I mean, president's like 70,
Right.
70. Not to be an ageist, I'm just saying. It's just that, I mean, the age. This is why you're seeing people like Pelosi step down. Just why you're seeing people like Pelosi step down, replace her with a 50-year-old. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? Clyburn stepping down. He's going to be replaced. You know what I'm saying? The
mhm.
younger generation needs to be, yeah, and we're just not creating that. Yeah, it just yeah, and I hope people pay attention to that this year, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right, man. Artificial intelligence, man. Uh yeah, man. I think that's the next thing that's going to probably be in people's purview this year.
Mhm.
Of course, people were taking pictures. They were doing the art thing, the AI art thing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, and come to find out, it was like you. So with that technology, like it was using so let's say when you use women, right? So women
Mhm.
would take a chest up photo, with clothes on. Well, it was creating nude images of women because it could figure out, yeah, it could figure out, what their breasts look like and stuff and things of
Yeah.
that. Crazy. And of course, it was using people who created the AI, the art AI. I think it was Lensa. It was being used for other nefarious things. You know what I'm saying? They were like, "Stop using that now."
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
this
you,
this thing about technology, man, and again, this is why you gotta have diversity within technology as well, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Because not saying that other races or cultures are less nefarious. It's really just saying that when you open up that space with diversity, what you do is you open up a vial of checkpoints of different thoughts,
mhm, mhm,
and it's less of a one-dimensional way of thinking about things, which lead to like a autonomous vehicle not being able to recognize black people.
mhm. Or people remember when, Microsoft came out with their camera for the Xbox, you know what I mean? And it was fun, but it
Yeah,
couldn't read darker skinned people. It couldn't read,
yeah,
the technology couldn't read dark skinned people. Well, that was because there was no dark skinned people in the room. You know what I mean? And
correct. Right.
they didn't test it on dark skinned people, you know. So yeah, so that's the problem with AI. The problem with artificial intelligence is how do you have to be able to take out let's call it what it is. You got to be able to take out the racism.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to be able to take out the racism in the artificial intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's going to happen, man. That's what's going to happen. Uh, yeah. Because I was messing around with the GP chat thing, and if
mhm,
you asked it a certain question, I was trying to trying to find some black stuff to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Well, uh, it said that it can't research it or something like that. Like, hey, nah, that topic is too sensitive or something like that.
wow.
Well, the problem with that is that I'm black, so I want to know this topic.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now I can't have a conversation or get to learning, about a certain thing or going out and having a starting point for certain conversations because the AI itself is trying to not be racist. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Oh, and GP chat is another artificial intelligence, thing. And really that's what's going to come out really. GP chat is one of these platforms to where people starting to worry about and they're worrying about it, I think for the wrong reasons, but for like a college student, writing a 1,000-page essay. They just ask this artificial intelligence, something, and it writes them a 1,000-page essay. Look, man, writing essays are a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? If you want, if you have a college degree and you want to learn something, the best way is just having a conversation. You know what I mean? Have a conversation, researching. You give people, researching and have conversations. But they're worried about people finding ways to not waste time. And that's the wrong focus. You know what I'm saying? You know.
No, I agree, man. And like, I don't have a college degree or
Mhm,
anything, but I think it takes way more intelligence to go into GPT, Chat GPT, and type in a what you're looking for in a more accurate way in a small amount of words
mhm, mhm,
than it would be if I have to research it and write down words that some of it's gonna like no matter what, like a lot of the study is gonna come from some other study.
mhm.
Um
Mhm. You
and
just don't have to
I
make sure
think
that
creative
it's not,
part.
plagiarism.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the more creative part is, man, you know how hard it is to like literally try to summarize something
Mhm,
in the smallest amount of words. Like
mhm,
that's that takes a little art.
mhm,
Now I do understand the professors though.
mhm,
It's not to say, but I agree with you. Like, yeah, I don't understand what would be the purpose of every doctor writing a essay.
mhm. Yeah.
I have to understand that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see some merits in it, in something like a artificial intelligence chat, you know what I'm saying? Um, but again, you gotta take the racism out of you gotta figure out, you have to make it you can't make it fully Dang, I can't remember the word for it, but you can't make it where it has its own, where it can think on its own, right? I think in China or Dubai, they created a robot that could do that. It could think on its own.
Yeah,
But they
autonomous.
basically had this thing. What's that?
Uh, autonomous.
Yeah, it was like autonomous. Yeah, well, not autonomous. It really was. It was just a like a head. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
they could have conversations with it, right? And it was plugged into, it's basically plugged into the internet. But this thing got more violent. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? Because it was plugged into the internet and because, what I mean, the things that it was learning, it was becoming violent and racist and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
'cause overall, our society it you know, is mimicking our society.
that's what it was doing. Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, yeah. So you got to create the intelligence where it's very specific, narrow. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's narrow and it can't go outside of these parameters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pretty smart people who come up with this stuff, man. And I'm big with technology. Hey, anything that makes my time easier, anything that gives me back more time, I am for it. Man. I'm a first adopter to a lot of technology, somewhere in the first, being a first adopter to a lot of technology, man. Um, you know, when I get a chance, I'm gonna get an electric vehicle. That's just what it is, because I don't
Yeah.
want to pay gas anymore. I don't understand. I do, that's the other thing, man. I don't understand people who fight back against that. Like, I'm gonna pay gas forever. Like, hey,
Yeah.
come on. Are you not looking at gas prices, man? Are you not looking at gas prices, man? We live, I mean, outside of Texas, we probably live in truck capital state.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, come on, man. No, I'm tired of. You know what I mean? I don't want to pay gas prices. And the
Yeah.
technology's cool. The technology's cool, man. You know.
No, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The one thing I wanna say is I think black children well, I don't wanna say black children, um, other groups really need to start finding ways to utilize it, but mainly black, Mexican, you know, uh,
No,
Rican,
you're
like
right. Being in the tech
be-
industry,
being in the tech industry
because there
because
is a gap.
there's a gap.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
is a gap,
there,
man.
there's a big gap, with these groups not being represented.
Hmm.
Even when it comes to um, quote unquote native people and so forth. Like no, like they need to get into this space because
Yeah,
it's going to be important to the future, right? You know,
yeah, yeah, and that's why I said, like, I really wish, our school system is broken, and it's not broken for the reasons that Republicans want to say it's broken. Our school system is broken is because it doesn't push our children into the future. You know what I mean? I say this. I think I said this before. I say this again, man. When I graduated in 1996, dang, it sounded like a long time ago, but when I graduated in 96, we should have been the first generation that should have been primarily computers.
yeah,
Everything we should have done should have been computers. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? I didn't touch a computer. I didn't know anything about a computer until I joined the military, and I was like, "What is this? What is email? What is this crap?" You know what I'm
right,
saying? I had no clue. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that has to do, and it has to do with racism and pay. Who has the money to buy? I'm sorry, who had the money at that time to buy a $3,000 machine to put into their homes and connect to the internet and things of that nature. So, but the one I'm trying to say is that our education system does not prepare our children for technology. Those the tech fields. It just pushes. When a kid graduates at 18, it basically just pushes them like, y'all go, go work at McDonald's or something like that. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Or work at Walmart or Amazon. Walmart or Amazon is the new Ford and Chrysler.
Hmm.
When 18-year-olds used to be able to graduate and go right into these jobs. You know what I mean? Back in the 40s and the 50s, in the 60s. They
Yeah,
go right into those jobs, making the 18, 20 something miles an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I seen like a meme somebody said about how Homer Simpson can afford a suburban home that's detached, 2 cars, and have a wife at home. Like, well,
Yeah,
Homer Simpson represented that generation that could go to these middle class jobs and without having to go get a high school degree or I mean, I'm sorry, a college degree or a trade, any extra skills. That's what he represented, of course, because he came out in the 90s, but he represented that generation from like the 60s and the 50s, the 60s and the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
today, if they recast Homer, he'll be having on the MAGA hat, talking about "Make America Great Again."
I probably. I mean, if they recast The Simpsons, man, Marge would be working. They wouldn't
Yeah,
have 3 kids. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have 3 kids. They have
yeah.
probably, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Or to be a proud boy, you
but
know? Yeah,
yeah,
just saying, you know?
yeah, ain't too many black kids in that neighborhood, man. I'm saying, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
just saying, man. Ain't that much diversity in
yeah.
Springfield, and that Springfield. But yeah, man. But artificial intelligence, man. That's something to look out for this year, man. And it's gonna be interesting to see where it goes in the
Yeah,
future.
gotta start preparing our kids for it, man.
Mm,
We we no longer can rely on the school system,
mm.
to do most of the work. We're gonna have to put in the work.
To direct them where they need to go. Like
Correct.
that's the thing. We have to start talking to them like in the sixth, seventh grade. You know what I mean? Um, you know, um, uh, yeah, like sixth, seventh grade, or even when they get to college. Like, look, this is what you need to focus on. I understand you want to have your dreams and things of that nature too. But pay
Mhm.
attention. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention. You know, to these things. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we got to do, man. That's what we got to do. Yeah, 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 man. Our sons are still young enough. We can guide them a little. We
yeah.
can bend them a little bit. We can bend them a little bit. We can still bend them.
Yeah,
Oh,
we gotta do it over a shot of whiskey or a thespian now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like, hey, man, every chance I get, when our son come and visit, man, that's what I try to talk to him and tell him about. Hey, you know, pay
yeah,
attention. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Pay attention to these things.
yeah, yeah. It's the
Yeah.
same conversation I have with my son, and I always gotta tell him, "You might not like some of the things that I say,"
Hmm.
I said, "But you gotta realize just as well as my grandfather was on the earth a certain amount of time, that at the end of the day, I could not dismiss what he was telling me.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that I have to, take it wholeheartedly and believe that's what the truth is.
Right.
I can carve out my truth within his truth,
Hmm.
and I always gotta, explain to him like, like life is just like fluid water, man, and like you can't you can't hold wholeheartedly on a truth when 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 the current may change.
Yeah. 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 We gotta let them. Yeah. Yeah. We just gotta God. We can't prepare. Like, man, reading this book, man. The warmth of other suns. It's a great book, man.
Mhm,
It's a great book, man. I can't believe I waited so long to read it. But the theme is that we grow up in a we come up in a caste system, and in a caste system, what the generation prior does is prepare uh the generation. I'm sorry, yeah, what the generation prior does, the generation prior prepares the current generation for the past. That's how the cast is, because there was unspoken rules, what I mean, that they had to follow. Don't look white people in the eyes. Step
mhm.
off the, make sure you step off the 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 corner. You know what I mean. Um don't talk to white women, and all these arbitrary things that just weren't, they weren't laws or anything. They just existed. That's just how it was, you know, and that's what the generation. But now, we just gotta we gotta look towards the future. Like say, hey, look, the future.
Yeah.
This is what you gotta look forward to.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
future. The future.
yeah.
We don't have to prepare you for some arbitrary rules that exist, even though there is a caste system still.
Mhm,
I mean, some arbitrary rules depending upon where you at. We still got sundown towns in America.
mhm.
Um, so but we just gotta, preparing for the future, man. And that future is tech. It is tech, man. It's
It is.
technology. It's tech. It's tech. It's tech. It's tech. That's tech.
Yeah,
That's technology. Some doing something.
yeah,
And technology.
yeah. I'll intertwine this, and I'll probably leave it at this, man. Um, the football incident that happened, um, I think a lot of, especially black fathers, had an eye-opening moment about should they be preparing their kids to just play football.
Mm,
And the question I started seeing kind of go around was like, "Hey, should we be preparing our kids for like the industry we're talking about, tech industry and so forth, and not being primarily focused on sports?"
mm,
Because it's becoming a safety issue amongst our culture.
mm,
And it was an interesting topic, man.
mm.
Because that's something that we should be thinking about.
Yeah. 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 I think so. It's just most definitely just understanding it's just multi faceted and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I'm glad that young man is doing better now. You know what I'm saying? He's breathing on his own, got to talk to his teammates and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, and just making football's a gladiator sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with Johnson and Dr. Ham.
Dope
Um,
conversation.
yeah, yeah, man, it was, and that's all what I mentioned is that yeah, it's a gladiator. And there's simulators between football and gladiators. With people coming from a or a certain class, a social class, you know, the emperor, So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's.
Gotta do a shameless plug, man, because honestly, that was a good topic to
Mhm,
really touch on. And I really, ask the audience and people to build on that conversation using the questions of where are we going in the future, right? What are our plans um, to keep our children safe and healthy
mhm,
and not broken and those kind of things? Because you can be a different kind of gladiator, right?
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you could be a tech gladiator.
Be a tech gladiator, judge gladiator. We need black men in teaching.
Yeah,
That's something that I'm gonna explore today. I'm gonna set a goal. So I said I don't do goals, but you know, get my teaching. Look at getting teaching certificate and things of that nature. But um, yeah, man, it's different arenas that we are absent from. Or I will say, very specifically, black men. Black men are absent from areas of teaching, areas in the justice system, in the healthcare system, in economics, and by economics, I'm not talking about owning a business. I'm talking about you know being CEOs of banks, hedge funds managers, realtors. You know what I'm saying? Like we're misrepresented. You know, and I get it. Everybody talking trade, trade, trade. Business, business, business. But we really have to look at those areas where we are absent from. You know what I'm saying? Where we're absent from. And I was talking about that, about how and I think about how the reason that is because you know Black History Month is next month, right?
Mhm.
The problem with Black History Month is that we focus on extraordinary Negroes, right? Well, extraordinary Negroes, right? We focus on the first and we don't focus on second, third, and fourth. Number one. Number two, Black History Month wasn't supposed to be this thing where we only talk about the first person to do this and the first person to do it. It was supposed to be an inventory or a, basically an inventory of, hey, this is where we are, this is where we need to go.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
talked about the, homeowners and, you know, politics and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that we've allowed it to. Again, we aren't the ones mainly being told. You know what I mean? What Black history should be, right?
Mhm.
We aren't telling everybody what Black history should be. We are force fed Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Booker T. Washington. You know what I mean? We're force fed, these people who are very important people, but we need to talk about data, right? We need to talk about how Black people are only have the same ownership rate as today as we had in 1940s, 1940s, in the 50s and the 60s, and why that is. What I mean, we need to talk about the Black people being absent from all of these industries and why that is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Black History Month should be about. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
And we gotta move past, first, like
Yeah,
celebrate
right.
it when it happens, and move on. We you know what I mean? Okay, that's cool. Like we talked about Ketanji Brown Jackson, but what got
Yeah.
missed out of there was all of the Black women that came after Ketanji Brown Jackson during the Biden administration. He's
Yeah.
elected the most Black women, the most Black people to be
Yeah.
sitting on a judiciary, being a judge.
63%.
Yes, that gets missed.
63%.
It gets missed because we're talking about the extraordinary Negroes,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
yeah, man, man, it's crazy.
And you can't miss the point, right? Because Atanji Brown, Miss Atanji Brown, Judge Atanji
Mm-hmm.
Jackson,
Supreme Court justice.
yeah, it is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the work that she is doing,
Mm-hmm.
like she is pretty much kicking these justices behind
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the actual history and the law of
Mm-hmm.
this country.
Right, right, and that perspective is needed, right?
Yes.
It's very much needed. That perspective is needed. Much like the perspective in tech, much like the perspective in economics, much like this perspective, teaching in healthcare industry, being a nurse, being a Black man to go be a nurse. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things are important. You know what I mean? But we're not gonna get there if all we talking about is Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and Frederick Douglass and Booker T.
Right.
Washington all the time.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that yeah, man, that we gotta somehow change that. we gotta change that message, man. We gotta change
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Two-thirds of doctors right now still believe that black people don't feel no pain,
Yeah, yeah,
feel less pain.
yeah. That was
Yeah,
something that was taught. It's still taught. It's still taught.
yeah,
This is
and
how.
that was including also black doctors.
Yeah,
And
and
that
that's
that's
how Black people miss the opioids because the opioids didn't affect Black people because we weren't given opioids to deal with pain.
Yep.
Because of that, you know what I'm saying? Now Black people are dying of fentanyl. I don't know why we out here doing cocaine. I don't know what's up with that. You know.
That is actually dope. It heroin, man. That's
Yeah, but they're
uh,
mixing it in the yeah, they're doing it by itself and doing it's look, man, I don't know what we're doing. But and I say we, I'm sorry. I don't know what some of us are doing, you
yeah.
know. And that's just crazy, man. But yeah, man. All right, man. We're gonna try to wrap this up. And talking about the shit show that's the GOP federally. Kevin McCarthy finally became Speaker of the House after like 16 times, and basically he just gave up all his power. He's not really a speaker. He's just a person that's sitting there that has a title. That's it. That's how much power he gave up to 20, people
Yeah.
essentially,
Yep.
who just want to cause chaos. You know what I'm saying? And I watched his little speech that he gave. You know what I'm saying? And of course, he had to mention woke. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Again,
Mhm.
woke is a use of euphemism for being anti-black. That's what it is. Let's just stop playing all these games. You know what I'm saying? And again, the Republican Party really feel like they won, the House when they didn't. They gerrymandered states like Texas and Florida, South Carolina,
Mhm.
Mississippi, North Carolina. You just go on and on and on. New York. That's the only reason they won, and they did not even win that many seats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're because they they are really a small party. Like they really, they really are the people that vote for them. It's really not a lot, but they gerrymander so it looks like they have the power. You know what I'm saying? And they really don't. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It
Uh,
really should be one third, um, pretty much. If you do like the representative of population,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Of population. If they actually did it correctly, they wouldn't
mhm,
win. They know this. They wouldn't have any House seats. They
mhm,
wouldn't have any Senate seats, and they would not get the presidency. They know
yeah,
this. That's why they don't want to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, because the John Lewis Voting Rights Act addresses gerrymandering and
yep,
does it so that is equal, so that what happened to the black people in Florida where they lost House seats, they lost representation. What happened to the black people in Texas? You know what I mean? What happened to the black people here in South Carolina? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I couldn't
yeah,
even vote for Clyburn because I don't live across the street. I got redistricted. You
wow.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, my voting place changed where I gotta go vote at. You know what I mean? I gotta vote somewhere else. Crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. But they
Yeah,
but they have no plan. They have no plan. No plan to address nothing.
I
Nothing.
think that's the biggest take, right? The
Mhm.
biggest take is that we are watching a party, um, do more complaining,
Mhm.
um, and and never presenting a solution.
Yeah. Never
Um,
presented. Oh, no, their solution is cruelty. That's what their solution
oh,
is. It's
yeah,
cruelty. It's what rights can I take away from you to make me comfortable.
yeah. They
You know.
they 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 got mad with Margie Taylor Greene because she let the cat out of the bag,
Hmm.
right? When she made a statement when she said, "I don't have any committees,
Hmm.
and how am I supposed to raise money if I'm not on committees?" See,
That's all it's
again,
about, man.
as Mr. Madison said, the Black Eagle, you got to listen with your third ear,
Mhm.
because if you listen with your third ear, she ain't there to represent you.
Right.
She's simply there to raise money.
Raise.
Lauren Lauren Boebert literally had her net worth was nothing.
Hmm.
She was a bartender when she came in, or something of the sort.
Own a restaurant.
Yeah, owned a restaurant, but
Hmm.
her net worth was really low, right?
Hmm.
She's worth $40 million now.
Hmm.
And how do you think she got that money?
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
By
and,
going around,
it's across the
going
board,
around.
Democrats and Republicans. But the point
Democrats do
is,
it.
yeah, the point is, but you're talking about a group of people that is applying cruelty to get rich.
Hmm. Well, what they want to do is they want to, it's all a trick, right? You know what I'm saying? What they want to do is they want to talk about, CRT, LGBTQ issues, the anti woke, all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So that they can pass bills that take more, or that puts more of the tax burden on to a social economic class of people who are making, who are making somewhere $400,000 and less. You know what I mean? They want to put the tax burden on that group. You know what I'm saying? While also presenting themselves, oh, as job creators. You know what I mean? Like Trump did when he passed the tax cut in 2017. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It really wasn't Trump, it was Paul Ryan. That's why that dude got out of there once he passed it. Yep, deuces, I'm out. But that's what they want to do. They want to pass all these. Of course, they want to throw their base a bone every once in a while, right? You know what I mean? That's why Kevin McCarthy was like, "Oh, we're gonna investigate Hunter Biden's laptop. We're gonna, address woke agenda in schools and all these other stuff, and all this other
We
stuff."
want y'all to see his penis pics.
Oh man. It's just it's just dumb. They just toss this base of bone, you know what I mean? While at the same time, all they're doing is just, raising money, coming up with policies that don't allow, people to have some economic relief. And I
Yeah.
keep telling people all the time, man, there is no both sides. There is no both sides. Like that. What happened? Between with the House vote, what I mean, with them not being able to elect a speaker. And the only way Kevin McCarthy becomes speaker now is he agreed to some dumb term to where one person can now come in and say, "Oh, I don't want you to be speaker anymore," or to bring up a vote. And he's basically not a speaker. It's dumb.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, but all they want to do is cause chaos, man. That's all they want to do, man. Oh, and this I was listening to Dr. Carr now I'm going monologuing right now, but I was listening to Dr. Carr today, and he was interviewing this dude, and he has a book out called like The America That Never Was or something like that. And he was talking about how we basically have two fractions of groups. You know what I mean? We have the pre-Civil War group and then the post-Civil War group. The post-Civil War wants to create an actual equal society and use the legislation from the 13th, 14th Amendment. Ketanji Brown Jackson constantly brings up the 14th Amendment in a lot of her stuff. Creates because a new constitution was written actually when the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment was passed. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the pre-civil rights group who sticks to the 1787 Constitution that didn't have black people and written in the Constitution. It didn't have women written in the Constitution. It didn't have, you know, LGBTQ people written in the Constitution. There's this group that wants to stick to that. You know what I mean? And that's what you see. Just a group that really wants to stick to the original, you know, uh, 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 version of the Constitution that didn't have people in it. So, one of those things that might come up this year in the Supreme Court is the 14th Amendment. Is the 14th Amendment taken away? And why is that important? Because the 14th Amendment gives the federal government power to tell the states what to do
Mhm.
to protect your rights. And that amendment was specifically written for black people to protect
Yeah.
black people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. And I ordered that book, and I said I'm gonna order no more books, and I ordered that. it's it's like 250 pages. I think I'll burn through that pretty quick. Yeah. But
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
but yeah, man, like these are some of the things that we have to start paying attention to going forward, right? Same thing with like paying attention to what they did to Michael Steele, right, in the Republican
Yeah.
Party, right?
Hmm.
When Michael Steele wanted to um, create a Black Republican caucus,
Yep.
um, they lost it.
Yeah. They were like,
And all he wanted to do is just bring in Black people into the Republican Party, right? And
yeah,
that had their own voice, and they basically flipped him the bird
like,
and said, "Get out of here." Yeah,
and then the next, they're like, get him out of here. We don't want him RNC no more. Get
we
him
don't
out of here.
RNC,
No
and
more.
that should have told Black Republicans something.
It should have, but they don't. They're like Byron Donalds, man.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
Jose.
my God, man. They oh man, they set that black man up, man. They
Oh, goodness. And then
they
when the
set
sister A sister
Oh,
tried to tell him, you know, to be what to be all she was saying was what to be careful of being used
being
as a
used
black man.
as a
That's
token.
all she was saying. And he sat back and then went on some rave about her and
Mm. You talking to Corey Bush?
Corey Bush.
Corey
Um
Bush was telling them, yeah, like, hey man, you don't be, don't be used, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
And he was upset because she said that. But again, like again, I see black conservatives do the same thing to other black people when they're simply just trying to tell them,
yeah,
like,
man. Cause
look,
about, cause about power.
yeah, stop thinking that we like the Democrat Party.
Mm,
Like, we look, we don't have no friends in Washington.
yeah,
We
yeah,
know
yeah,
that. So at the end of the day, we are voting for our simple interest as a group.
yeah. The best interest, man.
That's interest, man.
Yeah, voting the best interest, man. But like people like Byron Donalds, man. It's just a power thing, man. It's a power thing. You know what I'm saying? And he got used, and it was crazy because they brought up Frederick Douglass, slavery. One dude said that he comes from authentic beginnings. I was like, oh Lord have mercy. I was like, if they bring up crack baby in here, I'm telling you, I'm gonna throw something through, I'm gonna throw my phone, man.
One guy called him a black Republican, and like,
Oh my God.
Donalds, he felt some kind of way when he said black Republican
Hmm.
instead of just saying a conservative Republican.
He's just a Republican, right?
Like,
Because they don't realize that they do not realize that they are a wall. I was going to say a bridge. They are a wall between black people and white people, or white people who identify as being Republican.
yeah,
That's all they are. That's all they
yeah,
are. And they don't they think of themselves as a bridge, and they're not a bridge at all. Not a bridge, because just like Byron Donalds got used, right? Because the one dude was like, "Oh, I can't believe that this House don't want to elect the first black House Speaker of the House." You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Hakeem Jeffries had 212 votes. Byron Donald only had 20.
yeah,
He only had 20.
yeah,
If that was the case, then elect Hakeem Jeffries, but that wasn't the point.
yeah,
Right? They were
yeah,
just trying to use Byron Donalds, right? Use him, you know what I mean? Uh, uh, um, use him because they were bringing up, oh, Frederick Douglass was a Republican. First off, Frederick Douglass was a liberal Republican. There were liberal Republicans
right,
during that time, during the late 1800s into the 1900s. So while he was a rhino, Republican in name only. Okay,
mhm,
so I don't even know why people always bring that up. It's just dumb. Um, Ideology is important. What they thought, what they believed. They would be calling him all types of socialists and communists today. That's just if they actually read some of his speeches. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. If you go to Abraham Lincoln's
Hmm.
um address before he became president,
Hmm.
this is what catapulting because he was using Frederick Douglass.
Mhm.
Um, and actually, no, not Frederick Douglass. Oh my goodness, the Supreme Court case of
Trying to dress Scott.
Dred Scott. So he
Mhm,
was using Dred Scott as the point in,
mhm,
in this address, but he was calling out conservatives
mhm.
again, talking about a Republican calling out conservatives, and
Because the
they're
conservatives were the Democrats. That's what
correct,
that's what it was.
correct.
Yeah.
And he was saying that that they want to stick to something that has been already tried and true
Mhm,
rather than what's not tried.
mhm,
And he was basically saying, isn't this what our nation is about? Basically, it is progressing.
mhm, mhm.
and he was talking about the failures of the conservative party on
Mm,
how that they are not willing to move forward
mm.
on anything.
And that's why they start calling themselves conservatives to conserve. That's
Yeah,
why they start calling themselves that. They wanted to keep the South, the South. That's really what it came down to. It
yeah,
was not about. Yeah, there was some Jacksonian, beliefs and but you know, yeah, yeah, that's really what it was, man. But yeah, man, just something else to pay attention to, this year, man, with the GOP, man, just the dysfunction that's going to continue, and it's just going to be funny. But it's going to be funny, but it's going to be sad because through the dysfunction, somebody is going to justify to keep supporting that. Somebody's going to justify it. Same way, when people like to be like, oh, oh, it's just the Freedom Caucus. Freedom Caucus was birthed out of the Tea Party.
mhm,
I think Byron Donalds is still refers to himself as a Tea Party, Republican.
yep,
And of course, old Cotton of Congress don't though. Old Tim Scott. Um, that's what I call him because he always brings it up. Cotton of Congress.
yeah, yeah,
Talking about his grandparents. Like, yo, come on, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man. And you know, uh, yeah, man, born out of the Tea Party. You know what I mean? The Tea Party was born out of Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was born out of Pat Buchanan and David Duke. And, David Duke was born out of Ronald Reagan and Barry Goldwater, so on and so forth, man. It's just been an entire shit show. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And we
yeah.
are,
You're on all them guys.
what's that?
Lee Atwater.
Yeah, Lehigh Water, yeah, all them
Mhm,
guys, man. It's really, and that's really what we see today. It's just a culmination of that, man. Like
yeah,
this is the extreme. This is where it was inevitably going. This is, you know what I mean? You just follow it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It gets more and more extreme, more and more extreme. You know what I mean? Like I try to tell somebody, or try to get people to understand is that, what I mean, the real conservatives exist in the Democrat Party. They don't exist in the Republican Party. People call themselves conservatives, but they're not. You know what I mean? They are very extreme. They don't care about budgets. They don't care. They'll
yeah,
say it. They don't care.
right,
Chip Roy get up there and he can talk about budgets all he want to, but you know, if there's a Republican president and the Republican president wants to pass some extreme budget, they'll sign for it. Trump
yeah,
Trump added $7 trillion to the debt.
yeah,
Not a peep.
yeah,
Not a peep. They don't care. Under Republican leadership as POTUS, well, guess what? The debt expanded.
mhm,
When has the debt went down? Under Democrats. Why? Because we have Joe Manchins and we have other conservatives in the Democrat Party. I can't name all of them, but
mhm,
there are other conservatives who actually care about the who actually care about programs of helping people and addressing debt. The Republican Party, as it's constructed today, only wants to just help corporations. You know what I
right,
mean? And
right,
millionaires and billionaires. That's it. That's their own. That's all they want to do. That's all they want to do, and expand their pockets, man.
yeah,
But
and I
yeah,
see
man.
Joe Manchin probably, maybe playing around with leaving the Democrat Party when it get close to election time.
Yeah, that wouldn't be smart for him.
No,
Because he voted for Democrats majority of the time, so he wouldn't win as an independent. He wouldn't win as a Republican. So
mhm,
he's just
and
better
probably
off as a
attention
Democrat.
to Christian Cinema,
Oh,
who
Senator's done.
who did the same thing, and he probably like, yeah, that probably won't be a good move.
Yeah, but Cinema did it so she won't get primaried. She
Mhm,
knows she's gonna get primaried. That's why Cinema did it.
yeah,
Manchin can't do the same thing because he will lose the Republican
yeah,
in West Virginia. He can't
yeah,
do the same thing. Cinema can do it. And she's like, "Well, I'm gonna just somebody's gonna lose." You know what I mean? And it threatens the Democrats over there in Arizona. So, you know,
mhm, purple state.
yeah, yep, yep, yep. So I understand why Cinema did it. It's still dumb. It's just
Yeah,
absolute, and it shows that she's for herself.
yeah,
mean, she's forced. So, you know what I mean? Like, she's not. Yeah, nobody knows why she's doing what she's doing. It makes no sense. Well, no,
Yeah.
people know money for the same reason. She came in as a thousandaire, and now she's a millionaire. And
Mhm.
only when she's doing that, politics, you know,
Yep.
make you wealthy, man. It'll make you wealthy.
Yeah.
Make you wealthy, man.
Be
But
careful
all
of the
right, man.
trolls, man.
What's that?
The next 2 years, be careful of the trolls. Be careful of all the trolls.
Oh man, yeah, man. They're gonna come out. They're gonna come out, man. They're gonna probably come out this year. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, man. Hey, man. You know, as always, man, we appreciate you. Appreciate the folk that checked in. Let's go and check in. Check us out. We're on all the social media platforms. I'll upload this tomorrow. I got volleyball. I gotta get in the bed here, so I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
up early. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'll upload this tomorrow. To all the social media platforms and keep it uploaded this time. I'm not taking them down before. And because it was like this, man. Because sometimes you just doubt yourself. You know what I mean? Like you doubt what you're doing. You know what I mean? And but something changed, man. I started looking at my algorithm somehow switched up. You know what I mean?
Uh,
In Facebook, and now I just see people just dancing all the daggone time, and I'm like, if these fools can just be dancing all the time, I can at least. And they keep it up. They keep their content up. I could do the same thing. Just keep the
yeah.
content. Don't doubt myself, man. You know what I'm saying? Or
So, I every time I listen, go back and listen to us talk and see,
mhm,
whatever critiques and so forth, and then I start listening to everyone else,
mhm.
on their podcast, and I'm like, "Dang, we were just talking about this months ago."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it just reconfirms that at the end of the day, like, we are ahead of our culture in a sense of, like, people have to catch up to us
yeah.
to what we already have seen.
Looking
Um,
forward.
and yeah, and all we're doing is just taking history, right?
Mhm, mhm.
We're taking history and literally putting it in current times and watching it play on repeat in
Yeah,
certain areas, and then we're highlighting it, talking about the issues, how to go about, getting around it, what we need to focus on. Those are some of the things that we are focusing on here,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
confirm.
Yeah, and as always, man, go out there. Support the folks, man. Support the folks. Support, objectively aggressive. The homie over there, that feeling podcast, Lions Den, folks who are doing the good work, man. You know what I'm saying, and putting their time in, man. And I try to support when I can, where I can. You know what I'm saying. Support when you can and where you can, man. As always, man. These folks, they'll always that got big platforms. They'll always get it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah, man. We out. Any last words, bro?
Man, stay focused, man. Understand the goal. Understand the goal.
Yeah, 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 man. Yeah, man, 2023 is gonna allow us to be. Yeah, we gotta be locked in. Can't be distracted too much, man. Can't be distracted too much. You know. All right, man. Well, we out of here, man. Y'all have a
All right.
great 2023, man. All right.